Hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. So this week we've been talking about some stories that give us insight into Jesus. And I gotta tell you, today's one of my absolute favorites. It comes from the Gospel of John, chapter 4. And Jesus has been going from Jerusalem up to Galilee. And there were two ways you could do that. You could cross the Jordan River and avoid Samaria, or you could go up through Samaria, which was a tough thing for the Jews in a sense because the Samaritans and the Jews didn't get along at all, kind of oil and water stuff. But Jesus went straight up through Samaria on this trip, and the passage that I want to talk about starts at verse 6. And it says that Jacob's well was there. This is in Samaria. So Jesus, wearied as he was from his journey, was sitting beside the well. Now, it was about the 6th hour. That means noon. A woman from Samaria came to draw water. Jesus says to her, would you give me a drink? Now, that's the passage that I want to stop and talk about. There's a divine encounter between Jesus and the Samaritan woman, which is captivating. It's a marvelous story to read and to know about. But I want to pause here because I want to talk about the way this hits me. I'm doing this for, let's see, it's what? Hump Day. Wednesday is Hump Day. And it's a day where people often feel tired. It's the middle of the work week for many, if not most, but it's also just symbolic of the fatigue that comes to us as we sit there and start counting down the days to the weekend. And I know during COVID, people have talked about COVID fatigue and so many different things, but the bottom line is this. We feel tired at times. We do get weary. Physically, emotionally, we get overwrought with just burnout and being drained. And we might think that that's not very spiritual of us, that we need to always be on the go, always have that energy, always have that drive. And that's where this story speaks. Because remember, John explains Jesus in vivid detail as the Son of God. John's that gospel that starts out talking about Jesus existing before the beginning of time itself, and that nothing was made that wasn't made through Jesus, and that Jesus is the light of the world, and he's the life, and he's resurrection. This is Jesus who can change water into wine, because John's the one who gives that miracle. This is Jesus who raises from the dead. This is Jesus who raises Lazarus from the dead. This is Jesus John spends 3 chapters, 14, 15, 16, talking about his divine ministry and purpose, and his crucifixion comes. John paints Jesus as divine as anything can be. And yet, in John chapter 4, right here, he talks about Jesus being weary from the journey. See, Jesus was also human. And it is in the nature of humanity to get tired, to be weary. Jesus didn't press on with miracle power. Jesus, weary, stopped, sat down, and asked a woman to give him some water. I love this. I love this because it tells me weariness is not a sin. Weariness can be part of the human nature. I love this because it reminds me that God even gave humanity the Sabbath. Jesus taught very clearly the Sabbath was made for people. People weren't made for the Sabbath. It's not the Sabbath that's the important part. It's there as a rest time for people. This speaks to me, and this is important because I see here a divine appointment that God had for Jesus with this Samaritan woman. And Jesus only met that divine appointment by stopping when he was weary. I love it. I think it's a great thing. It tells me that God works in my frailties, that God knows me, and that it's okay to be weary at times, and it's okay to take rests. That's the God we've got, the God who knows us and loves us. So hey, are you weary? Are you tired? That's okay. Take a break. Take some rest. Jesus did. That's your video thought for the day.